So most of you in here are either in the process of or have already had this fundamental shift of breaking predominantly the habit of getting lost in externalization and simply being with what is going on within. You know, when this begins to root itself, there is something that becomes quite clear, and that is that there are usually 2 or 3 fundamental internal conflicts. It is incredibly limited and repetitive and predictable. When you are following the mind's externalization, it seems like it is this endless barrage. But when you've learned to forego the mind's story, which will make it seem so complex and bewildering, and you simply remain inside when something is playing that is causing distress, and the story of it is allowed just to be without embellishing it, what becomes completely clear is that there are less than a handful of repetitive issues in my life. And it just repeats itself. And when you get used to hanging out there, it becomes so obvious how limited and repetitive and meaningless it all is. The story is for that to go away, that is the issue. But the only reason why it seems like that is the issue is because there is an assumption that that is who I am, that I am this problem. But when you get used to just stopping and turning inside, it begins to be revealed that what seems personal is mechanical and repetitive. That what seems so complex is so utterly simple. What seems so important is so utterly meaningless. It is an imprint. There's no one there, so all it can do is repeat. Ultimately, the discovery is it has nothing to do with that. That's not the problem. The problem is an assumption that that is who I am. And it cycles around again and again and again. So if you are sucked into it this time, you got another chance. And another chance, and another chance, and another chance. And then there are these emotions, which are the aspect of it that makes it feel so personal. But when you stop and you witness the process, it is all mechanical. The feeling that the mind interprets as personal is all mechanical. If it is not seen all the way, it will keep cycling around until it is. And then it will keep cycling around. As the seeing becomes more clear, because the habit of following the mental story begins to fall away, the interest in the whole thing begins to dissolve. What once defined who you were, the total interest in it begins to dissolve because it becomes so clear it's robotic. It has nothing to do with anything. It is completely and totally meaningless. It has only one power, and that is the power to distract. It is not that that needs to change. It is that it has to be seen. And the grace of God is that it repeats itself over and over again. And part of the predictability is the mind's horror at it coming up. Whenever you drop this habit of distraction and you simply feel yourself, it is always exactly the same. None of the ever-cycling turbulence of what is interpreted as the problem ever has any impact at all on simply feeling who you are now. So then in circles like this, what tends to become the angst and the struggle is awakening. But that's just an aspect of this programming. There has to be something to desire, or there's nothing to fuel it. So the big carrot becomes enlightenment. It is all mechanical. It is never possible to find the thinker. It is never possible to find some thing called an ego. Just look. Where is it? It is in truth not a process. A process is part of the cycling. It is this moment. It is the feeling of this moment. And this I character created by this mechanistic machine that has an assumption of someone, even though everyone has seen it is myth. That assumed character that's not there is efforting to awaken. It's a joke. Eventually there is the seeing that enlightenment is not the carrot. The character is. The carrot is the preoccupation with the character. But not to be concerned. It is so limited. It is so obvious. It will cycle until it is seen, when there's simply the readiness to stop. The more it is seen, the more it is revealed, the less interesting it becomes. And at the same time that it becomes less interesting, what it has been distracting the attention from begins to stop having its influence. The nature of this conditioned imprint is it is so dramatic. My life, you know. It is the feeling that in truth you cannot get away from. It is simply your existence. How can you get away from your existence? You can be distracted by this mechanical, robotic imprint that seems so complex. But your existence is so simple. It is the only thing that is unchanging. When you are in dreamless sleep, you still exist. When you are dreaming at night, you still exist. During this daydream, you still exist. It is continual. It is always now. So the robot wants to awaken. So what? It's a joke. It's the carrot, not the awakening. The involvement with the robot is the carrot. And the ploy is what are called emotions. They are said to be personal, but they are not personal. Everyone knows what fear is. Everyone knows what anger is. Everyone knows what agitation is. Everyone knows what resentment is. There is nothing personal. It is mechanical. It is a contrivance. And along with it, there is a mechanical assumption when it arises, me. But who are you now? Who are you stepping outside of the revolving door that goes nowhere? Who are you without the habit of memory, which is the imprint? It is also innocent. You have never done anything wrong. No one has ever done anything wrong to you. The dynamics repeat themselves with the possibility of being seen. At a certain point of maturity, it is time to see that what feels personal, the emotions that feel personal, are not personal at all. They are not new. That what feels like me and what feels like another, it is all mechanical. It is so limited. It is so predictable. And as this begins to be seen, the distraction falls away and the beauty begins to reveal itself. What is eternally unchanging? What is pure love begins to reveal itself. Not that someone has gotten something, but the myth of the someone is revealed. What is necessary? Steadfastness. Very simple.